Creating invoices and payments in Rental Manager. In order to take a payment, you must first create an invoice. There are two different ways to do that. Both start on your order screen. You can either be on the order setup screen for your first method or right on the order details screen. Invoices and payments are the two records that you send to QuickBooks from Rental Manager. So I'm just going to flip to the order details screen and I'm going to click on my invoice tab. This is the screen where we create a new invoice, and it gives you the facility to choose the invoice number that you would like to use. Now, if you're happy just to have the highest invoice number plus 1, you can click on this tab, and usually once you've clicked on it once, it will just keep doing that for you. Some people like to have the system order number as their user order number. If you would like that, you click this tab. Or if you would like the user order number and the user invoice number to be the same, simply type in the number and it will create that number for you. Just have to be careful when you're doing this that you're not duplicating invoice numbers. You can also choose the invoice date. The program defaults to the day you are creating the invoice, but if you would like a different date on there, just click on the calendar, choose the date you want, close the calendar, and you've put in the date that you prefer to have. Now you create your invoice. The summary line shows you each invoice that has been created for this order. You can have more than one, and if you add things to your order and you don't want to just update the invoice with the information, then if you create a second invoice for the order, it will add the inventory items that you've added to your order, and it will add the difference in the pricing. The total of the whole order will be up here so for you to see. So once you've created this invoice, if you want to look at it, you click on this little arrow here and it will open the invoice screen for you, which looks like the order details screen. You can check it to make sure everything is in order if you want to do that. If you just want to print a copy, you can print it here by clicking on the print tab. Probably what you want to do is to take a payment. So you click on the payment tab. Now, because you can have more than one invoice for each order, the system wants to know which invoice are you making a payment for. Most of the time there will only be one there. You just simply click on it. You choose your payment method. If you're taking this over the telephone, you're more than likely taking a credit card number and information. You choose your payment date and you put in your amount. Now this is a large order and it is being placed for a time in the future. So probably what I'm doing with my first payment is taking a deposit payment to hold it in place for that future date. And the total order is $904. I might be taking $300 as my first payment. Once I've done that, I click on that to just get my totals here. So this is the order total, this is the payment, this is the amount owing still. And I can actually just flip to my order details screen and I can see that, and I can in fact print that for my customer. I'll show you. You would just hit the printer, but there you go. You can print that out for your customer if the customer's in front of you and you've just taken that first initial deposit payment and they have their contract with their payment information on it. You could email them a PDF. Once you click this button, it will open up the printer tab for you to choose your PDF and go through the process of opening your Outlook and creating the PDF. You just attach it to the email file and send it off. So that's one way of creating an invoice and taking a payment. Now, when your customer is going to make another payment on this invoice, you do not need to create a second invoice. You simply go back into your payment tab. Now you're making a second payment. You're taking a second payment. Choose the invoice again. I'm still working on the same invoice. Perhaps this time my customer is going to give me a check for the next payment amount that they would like to make. And because I'm doing this all on the same day, it's going to look like I'm making my payment on the same day. So I'm going to just scoot this ahead just so you can see. Okay, so here's my next payment, and I'm going to make it for another $300. So I want that to change, and now my amount owed is $304. And if I go back and look at my order, then that amount is now showing $600 paid, this amount owing. And if you look at your order screen, the setup screen, it always shows you the exact amount of the order total, the payments, and the amount owing. For most of your customers, printing them off a rental contract will give them the information that they need. For customers who have companies and businesses and they require that invoice statement, then you simply need to go to the invoice screen, the create an invoice screen, click on the printer and print a copy for them. Now let's go and look at the second way to create an invoice. It's a little bit faster, but you don't have the same control. So I'm going up here. Now this customer would be the kind of rental where your customer is standing in front of you. They've probably already taken the inventory and you've run a credit card to hold for your payment information. Some businesses would be running that credit card and putting a deposit hold that you would release when the inventory comes back, and then you take your proper payment. However you do that in your business. Let's say it's been out for the 2 days and it's come back, and now you want to take the final payment from your customer. If you've needed to, you've added, if it came back late, you've added in late fees. If it's come back damaged, you've added in damage fees. Everything that you want your customer to pay for is now sitting on your order. And you want to create an invoice quickly because you have a lineup of people waiting for you. You want to create that invoice and take that payment and get your customer back out the door. You click on this Auto Generate Invoice and Payment tab. You only do this once for any order, because once you've created that invoice, you don't want to create the same invoice again. The system doesn't know what to do with it. The minute you create that invoice, it's done behind the scene, and it simply uses the next user invoice number in the line. So it takes the last user invoice number and adds 1 to it, and that will be the number on the invoice. And it opens your payment field. Choose the method that your customer is paying with. Maybe he's using a debit card. The date goes in, and the total amount of the order. Now, if you're not taking a total payment at this point, just put in the amount that you are taking. But I'm assuming that this is the order finished, so I'm going to leave this amount. And just a note, as far as credit card information goes, if it is your practice to keep this information, the card number, the card holder information are both masked and encrypted for both your customers and your safety. The only person in your business that can see this information is the person who has administrator security holding in the system, registered in the system. That person would be able to look at these numbers and the name of the card holder if you needed to look at it for any reason. The rest of the staff will not be able to see this information again. Once this is done, all you have to do is close the door. You're back on your screen. You can see, I'll show you it's so easy to see it here. There's your order total. There's your payments. Nothing's owing. Print a copy of the contract for your customer to take with him. And if he requests an invoice, just click on the Invoice tab. That invoice you created is right here. Click on the Printer tab, and now you have both an invoice and a paid contract for your customer. So those are the two ways that you create invoices and payments in Rental Manager.